So I gotta say that for the most part, my predictions were actually kind of right. I predicted Barcelona to win 2-1. I also predicted Sevilla to start out strong and then Barcelona to come back and beat them. But I obviously didn't predict Nelson Semedo starting over Sergio Roberto. I mean, sometimes even I can mess up on that. So guys, I do understand if some of you may feel mad or may feel disappointed and may want to leave the channel after I gave that fake information or did not give you the full analysis or information about obviously Sergio Roberto being suspended for this game. I do understand it, but if you still want to come back to the channel and still want to watch, give me a second chance, then this is the time for it. And we're going to start right away with this match reaction of our Barcelona victory 2-1 in the Supercopa de España against Sevilla. Let's get right into it. What's going on, guys? ¿Cómo están? BugaLuis here and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today we're going to talk about obviously the victory of Barcelona over Sevilla in Tanger in Morocco in the Supercopa de España 2-1. We beat Sevilla and we earned ourselves the first silverware here in this season. I'm very excited to share this with you guys, but always before starting, be sure that if you love Barcelona news, you love football, you love opinions, you love a good community, then this is the right place to be. So click the subscribe button down below so you don't miss anything of the content that we upload here on this channel. But now let's get right into it. We are going to start off this analysis by taking a look at two players which I thought were very surprising that were included in the first 11, and that was going to be Dembele as well as Rafinha. I think these two players were actually kind of like very surprising to me. I didn't think or didn't spoke about it in my preview before that these two players had a chance of starting or even playing kind of like close to the 90 minutes. Because I thought that Valverde and the board would like to take these players a little bit more slowly and get them accustomed to the squad so they can just have a great season like we all want them to. So I thought that this game was going to be mostly a game where we would see like the first 11 players. Like, I know Dembele can be a first starter, but I mean like a Coutinho, like at least like 26-year-old, like kind of like a little more experienced kind of players, because obviously when you, for instance, may play bad a start of the game, if we lose the Supercopa de España and let's say Dembele miss a chance, he's just gonna be completely like covered up by people saying like, oh my god, Dembele, he's so bad, he's such a bad player, stuff like that. So I thought that that was the way of Barcelona should approach it, but it just showed commitment and it showed a lot of faith in this kind of player. So even though I may not have faith at the start, like saying like they should start, I feel that having Valverde and the board having already showed that commitment and faith from the get-go is really good. So we must give credit to the board, we must give credit to Valverde, because they have decided that if they're gonna go with Dembele, they're gonna go all the way. So they're gonna give Dembele the first game of the season, and he proved it right. Rafinha, on the other hand, I think that he took his chance good. He was good in preseason, but this game was just not fitted for him and his style of play directly. So I think that we may have a good outcome in Dembele. In Rafinha, I don't think it was the probably best match for him right now. We also got to talk about the other substitutes, because Malcolm wasn't even included in the substitute list. I feel that this is kind of like a worrying decision, because I think that most of the time Valverde thought that they were going to play a 4-3-3, so therefore Malcolm was not required here. But then we could actually see, I'm going to talk about later on, where we changed back to a 4-4-2, and you could really see how somebody like Malcolm could have helped us immensely, and at the end we actually ended up putting Arturo Vidal instead of someone like Malcolm. So I think this is a substitute that, or a player left out, that doesn't mean too much, and we don't have to look too much into Malcolm being left out, because to be honest, it's just kind of like a one-off thing. Munir was selected, but Malcolm could be easily selected as well as Munir. So don't worry too much about all you Malcolm fans that want to see Malcolm play. He's still gonna get a lot of game time. It's just only one game. It's only one game in, we don't have to get too nervous. So let's talk about the start of the game. I gotta say the start of the game was kind of like favored to Sevilla. There's something Sevilla did really good, that is just all the players playing in a solid block, really compact, all 10 players defending and attacking at the same time. It was really good to see. Even from the perspective of being a Barcelona fan, we need to praise that, because all the players were working this ass off, and the effort they put in every single run, in every single chance, was absolutely insane. I gotta say that this is a simple example. You could see all the 10 players on screen at the same time. For Barcelona, that never really happened into the second half, because we didn't have that space or room to push our defender forwards. Sevilla completely dominated that midfield at the start of the game, and easily people like Banega and Roque Mesa were overrunning Arthur and Rafinha, which I thought that for the very first half they played kind of like underwhelming. They didn't play really bad, but they were like under average, and this is just because Banega, Roque Mesa, other people like Sergio Escudero, as well as Jesus Navas, were overrunning that midfield and didn't allow for Rafinha or Arthur to play vertically like they want to, and they also didn't do that much. So I feel that for that, Sevilla has to be praised for what they did. Luis Muriel was absolutely insane, not only for the goal, not only for not for the goal, because we're gonna talk about that later, but not only because of his effort in the goal or whatever, but also because he was always pressuring from the start for Sergio Busquets. He was always pressuring very like high up the pitch, and kind of like sometimes really low back, because they knew that the defense between Piqué and obviously Lenglet were very far away from someone like Busquets, which is going to be our first option for an initial pass. In the case of Sevilla, for instance, they had both Banega and Roque Mesa, so Arthur could go pressure one or Suarez could go pressure the other, but at the end of the day there's always going to be one extra man to be free and be able to have that quick initial pass for the counter attack, or even just to start the play on from the midfield. It's very good to see how Sevilla completely neglected this, but it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because having Roque Mesa and Banega, both players who play really good at the ball, are also allowing somebody like Messi to get like in between really easily, because these two players are players that focus more on the ball rather than on the players. So I feel that that's where somebody like Ensonsi would have been much better for Sevilla, but for now, the work they were putting in was absolutely insane. So the first goal of Sevilla came around the 10th minute, or even before, I may even say, and it was a very good piece from Luis Muriel. Luis Muriel didn't score the goal, but everything he did there just granted him like 80% of the goal. Sarabia's finish was absolutely insane, but if you take a look at it, Luis Muriel was the main reason why this goal was even managed to happen. Luis Muriel did that amazing play, even going through a nutmegging Lenglet and then passing the ball really soft, really slow to Pablo Sarabia. And when you have a player which like of Pablo Sarabia's like attributes, being a left-footed playing in the right-hand side, that's very good, because you put a slow, precise pass just on the run of this guy, and Sarabia that didn't have to like move, touch the ball an extra time. No, he just had the completely time in the world to position himself the way he was running towards it, and just with his left foot like smoothly touch the ball and curl it around Ter Stegen. That was something very good to see, because Luis Muriel understand and read the play really good, and from there onwards Luis Muriel really grew into the game, and he became even more deadlier. Perhaps not with his exact shots or whatever, but just because of his assist and association, he was really good for the entirety of the first half, and I may even go as say for the very first 20 minutes of the second one as well. In the first goal also we can talk about the VAR. I gotta say that this goal for me was always allowed from the get-go. You could just see that Sarabia was on point, and the use of the VAR was kind of like redundant. There was actually kind of a mistake of the offside referee, because when you have VAR now, you don't need to like raise the flag every time you think it's going to be an offside. The VAR can check that for you, so you don't pass the embarrassment of the referee right now of having like to say, okay, my bad, obviously it was an offside. So that's something that I feel it's just like an introduction for the entirety of the La Liga fans, saying like VAR is here and this is how it works, and it's good because it works fine. So VAR for me did good in this one. It's a proof on this one, because that goal should have stand, and it did. So around the 70th minute mark, when we had our first corner, I gotta say that that's where Messi really started to wake up. Dembélé passed the ball to Messi, and Messi just completely left Banega outside of the play. Like Banega was completely asleep, and then he just had the complete ability to shoot onto goal. But Vaklic, the goalkeeper for Sevilla, this new guy that came from Basel, was so good. He did very good, and I just gotta praise him for that, because that save was superb, and it really like woke up Messi and said, okay, this is gonna be much harder than I thought. And that's where I think like all of our players like really understood that this is not gonna be perhaps a 5-0 win like we did in the Copa del Rey. No. This is going to be another match, another Sevilla under Manchin, and it's going to start off fresh. So that's where I think that our Barcelona team just woke up, and it was really good to see. As soon as, like I said before, that Arthur and Rafinha were getting overrun in Banega, by Banega and Roque Mesa. I thought that I said before that they didn't go vertically enough, but as soon as they had the ability to, for instance with Rafinha, around the 30th minute when Rafinha did, he just had a 1-2, I think it was, with Nelson Semedo, and allowed for Semedo to go in front and then pass the ball almost to Dembélé. Dembélé then passing back again, Luis Suarez with a shot, and almost we get our equalizer. We almost get our equalizer there with Luis Suarez. That was good to see, and that's just the importance of having players like Rakitic in the squad. People like Rafinha are not so good as having that vertical run forward and seeing that ability of just like not only thinking about the first play and the short passes, which is okay, a very good ability to have, but people like Rakitic, for instance, have the ability of just seeing like the play in front, like 1-2, 1-2, and that's when I run. That's something that Rakitic I think does very, very well. The same like Iniesta did before. In the case of Rakitic, obviously he's not as good as Iniesta, but I think that he is a little bit better in Rafinha for that. But Rafinha here demonstrated that he also can do that. So it's still good that we can have players like him in our squad which are ready to show up when we need to. In the case of Arthur, I think he did a very good match, an okay, decent match. But the thing here is that it was also kind of like too horizontal his game. I feel that if we wanted to go a little more vertical, we had to have somebody else in this team like a Coutinho, somebody who's just gonna be a little more flashy in the midfield. And Arthur is good, it's incredible. Like, this guy is going to be the next world-class midfielder. Like, he's going to be like a 90 rated in FIFA like from 2 seasons from now. But the thing is that with Arthur in this game really didn't suit our play style. We need somebody else in that midfield. For the instance, either Arthur or Rafinha should have went, and that's where I think Valverde also got it right, because when we move onwards into the second half, he decided to bring on Rakitic for Rafinha, and that's where we completely started to gain control of the midfield back again, and it looked really, really smooth. It really looked like Arthur, for instance, was playing for ages, but we were just missing that extra midfielder, that somebody else who had a little bit more experience in that, because you can have Busquets in the midfield, he's gonna have the experience, but he's not gonna be able to like be further forward in the pitch, trying to assess and work together to create associative play for the forward attacks. Rafinha and Arthur are young, are wonderful players, both Brazilian, but in the long run, we needed somebody else. We need somebody else in that game, in that midfield, where it's gonna help us a little bit more. And as soon as Rakitic came in, we just saw how Arthur really unlocked, and that was really, really good to see. And obviously, before I'm getting ahead of myself, so before the first half, we saw the goal from Piqué. It was a rebound from a Messi free kick, which was sweet, that free kick. If that would have gone in, it would have been absolutely great. But thankfully enough, we see the rebound from Piqué and scored 1-1. There's not too much we need to talk about it. Everything was fine. Everything was okay. So now let's move onward to the second half and what I have to talk about our game in that. For the very first 20 minutes where we still had Arthur and Rakitic, there wasn't too much being created, even though we had a lot of like possibilities to do so. But as soon as Valverde brought in Coutinho for Arthur once again, I feel that's where we could see the automatic influence of somebody like Coutinho in our side. He's a really good player, and as soon as he came in, a 1-2 with Messi, and he almost scored a goal. Like, it's easily as that, because having people of that stature, of that quality, is just so hard to control, and Sevilla couldn't deal with that. It couldn't really deal with that. I was thinking about a better option. Could have bring in, for instance, Vidal for somebody like Dembélé, because Dembélé was getting overrun through the left hand side, and somebody like Vidal would have just allowed Coutinho to be a little more free and allow Coutinho to drift a little more centrally and be closer to the goal. I thought that could have been an option, but then the magnificent thing happened. The world completely shifted, and Barcelona went to a 4-2-3-1. Or a 4-4-2, and this is when Barcelona won the game completely. And this was a decision that was not made by Valverde, was made by the players itself in the squad, and just really shows how much prestige and how much respect we must have for Valverde, because Valverde decided to play with a 4-3-3. He decided to give the chance to play this formation that we all know and love, and it didn't really work. But as soon as we went to our 4-4-2, the 4-4-2 of last season that people didn't really like, the 4-2-3-1 in attack, the players, the team just completely got organized, and we played amazingly. I'm talking about Messi through the middle, I'm talking about Dembélé through the right, I'm talking about Coutinho through the left, and then Suarez up top alone. This really just shifted completely this team. And in the time we managed to create like 6 chances in entirety for 17 minutes, In 5 minutes, we created 4 chances because we had our stellar first 11 team in the squad all working together in the pitch, showing what they can do. The return to this 4-4-2 was absolutely insane, and that was a key factor why I think we managed to win this game. Messi was much closer to Jordi Alba. Their associative play is just insane. The same with Coutinho and Suarez, but most importantly them through the right, Nelson Semedo and Ousmane Dembélé. I feel that as soon as Ousmane Dembélé went through the right, it managed to just completely pressure Sergio Escudero and had to be a little more defensive, allowing for Nelson Semedo to be completely unlocked. The game of Semedo really just shifted and became from like a 6 and almost a 7 to like a complete 9 and even 10. Nelson Semedo got a just overhaul completely, and that's something that, for instance, I may praise Sergio Roberto or anything, but I gotta give credit where it's due. Nelson Semedo is doing something there that not too many other players can do. If we're talking about somebody to replace Dani Alves, has to be Nelson Semedo, because his forward play, his attacking runs, all of that is just really good. But having taken into consideration that somebody like Sergio Escudero, somebody like Pablo Sarabia, somebody like who was the other guy, Franco Vázquez, are not gonna be able to pressure too much on him. So then he just got unlocked, and I was really impressed by the game of Semedo from there onwards. But it's just that shift to the 4-4-2 that completely changed our play, and that's where we saw an opening and Dembélé took it and shoot that golazo into the back of the net. We got a 2-1 victory from that change to the 4-4-2. Dembélé, that's a huge motivational for him, not only just showing the team that he can have the right to it, but the shot, the power, and what a goal to get us a win. It's just really good. It's really good. But the decision was not from Valverde. Once again, it was from the players, and this shows how Valverde has a lot of respect in this side. Messi, Suarez, Dembélé, Coutinho, Rakitic, Busquets, Piqué, etc. They understood the game, they read the game and said themselves, we are better playing a 4-4-2. Like, we may like to play 4-3-3, it's Barcelona, but they went onwards. Suarez came into the sideline, called out for Valverde, and I talked to him for a minute. He was saying like, probably, okay, Valverde, we're gonna go to a 4-4-2. And that's where just I saw magnificent Barcelona back again. A formation is just a formation, guys. Like, we may talk about the 4-3-3, but the 4-4-2 is where it's at. It's where all our players fit. Coutinho for the left, Dembélé for the right. It's perfect. It's really perfect. And I just feel that this is an example of what perhaps Valverde will continue to show in the later games. I feel that this 4-4-2 is where it's at, and this is something that we're gonna continue with it no matter what. So that was the catalyst. The change was that changing to a 4-4-2. Messi was better. Coutinho was insane. Dembélé looked incredibly fresh. Having played for almost like 70 minutes, for 5 minutes once he shifted to the right hand side, he looked completely new. He looked like fresh from the get-go. It was really good. And then Suarez playing for the middle, completely for the middle, those agility, those acceleration problems, those positioning problems that some people say that he has because he's getting older, those just disappear because he only focuses on one single part in the pitch. So I think that's perfect. That's really good. And I really feel that the 4-4-2 or the 4-3-3 or the 4-2-1, I feel that the 4-4-2 or the 4-2-3-1 in attack is what we're gonna do in the future, and it really shows. But without that really happy thing that I just said, we gotta talk also about Ter Stegen and that penalty. Obviously, I think that's a really loud car. So I feel that with Ter Stegen here, there's not too much he could have done in saving the goalkeeper, in saving the penalty, or in neglecting the penalty. It was just a normal clash between him and Vidal. There's not much you can do. I really feel that it could be given. Yes, I understand, but it's not a penalty. Like, it's really not a penalty. Vidal just clashed onto Ter Stegen. Vidal didn't even try to say like the referee wasn't like saying, oh, it's a penalty. No, Vidal was calm because he didn't even think it was a penalty. The same with Ter Stegen, the same with all of our other players. But in football, there's justice, apparently. So when Wissam Ben Yedder came in to step up to shoot the penalty, he just missed it. So it wasn't a penalty and it wasn't a goal, so it's fair. I think it's fair. I'm not too mad with that. I'm really not too mad with that. Ter Stegen was just like, hold my beer, I'm gonna save this penalty. And he did. And he did incredibly well. So I just feel that this squad after changing that 4-4-2, we just saw the confidence, the organization, everything was so much better. The confidence of a player went up like for a million, and it was really good to see. So guys, what do you think about this match? What do you think about us shifting to the 4-4-2? I think that moment was key, and I think this moment is gonna be impregnated like on Valverde's head, and he's going to be like, the 4-4-2 is where it's at. And I feel we should also do the same. I feel the 4-4-2 will be our formation for this season. Many of you may be like underwhelmed by it, but if you take a look at the 4-3-3, we didn't work with it really good. We work better with a 4-4-2. So guys, what do you think? Leave me all of that in your comment box down below. I will need to go now rest because it's really been a long day. It's been a long day, but hopefully you have guys enjoyed. And like always, if you love Barcelona, you hate fake news, all of that, be sure to click the subscribe button down below so you miss anything of the content that we upload here on this channel. But most importantly, once again, tell me what you thought about this game. Tell me what you think about the 4-4-2, because today it showed that the 4-4-2 is good. It's good and it works.